Hello, I'm Alex Levin. Happy New Year. Today's the 3rd of January 2021. So glad to be here with you for meditation this Sunday every week, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Monday through Friday, Sun and Moon Yoga Studio here on this channel has a half-hour practice for you to be together in community and to take care of ourselves as we are creatively living different times these days. Today's title, Case of Mistaken Identity. And as I talk for a few minutes, it occurred to me, if I was in your place, I would like to be lying on my back on the ground and just kind of letting tension release, stretching a little bit. But you can, for these few minutes, you can do anything you like, and getting ready for the 12 minutes of sitting we'll do in just a short bit. So much of the underpinnings of yoga and the discoveries our friends before us on this path have made is that we suffer because because of a case of mistaken identity, because we mistake, we identify with what changes elements of ourselves, ways we have learned to sense ourself, but they are changing and so impermanent. And when they're either those identities are threatened or changing as our body ages, for example, our identity with our body, it's hard on us. It's hard. We want to hold on to that because it's the sense of who we are that is so basic to our sense of being. And so this practice of meditating, of sitting quietly, is helps us to differentiate, to discriminate between what's just temporary, what is a part of us perhaps, instead of the whole of us. And to start to realize and live in a sense, to embody that impermanent aspect of ourselves that is never not here, isn't it? You sense even just right now, where how do I know that I'm present? You just know. There's no need to go anywhere. There's no need to change anything. Presence simply knows itself. And yet, maybe it's because of our hardwiring, our years of uh, socialization, of many different forces, we look to constructing ourself. I find that fascinating that so many of the movies that we like are how constructed beings overtake, like artificial intelligence overtakes us. And it's the same theme. It's the same theme that this constructed identity, which is wonderful. This is the paradox that this constructed identity takes us over, and yet that constructed identity is also, it's not that we need to get rid of it, because it helps us function in the particular way that you cook meals, the particular way you entertain with your friends, the particular way that you the talents that you have and that you share with the world. So it's not that we need to get rid of them, we just need to properly to get in perspective. John O'Donohue, a poem I was sharing this winter, was John O'Donohue's For Light, and the first couple lines of that poem are, light cannot see inside things. That is what the dark is for. And is it not true for you? Check this out. I hear many people saying that their expressions seem to be wanting to move away from darkness as solstice comes toward the 21st of December as we move toward solstice, and that place where there's a pause between darkness and light, between the longest dark night and the lengthening days. Is there not for you something in darkness that lures you, that invites you? Say, even partly in how we sit in meditation practice, we go inside. It's dark in there. We don't see. There's a, we can start to sense and be aware of the sensations of expansion and contraction of breath, of flow, of heartbeat, of rhythms. But essentially, it's very in contrast to how our eyes see outwardly. It's dark and unknown. And a few years ago, I wrote this down, just remember the name of the book. I read this book, Waking Up to the Dark by Clark Strand, Waking Up to the Dark. And the book has several areas it touches on, one of them being how we sleep better when we're in total darkness. And this fellow moved to Vermont, and he tends to wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and where he lives, he uses that opportunity of midnight wakefulness to go outside and take a walk at 3 or 4 in the morning. It's just complete darkness because it sounds like there's not many dwellings nearby and not much light pollution, and the sky is just that blanket of twinkling lights, that velvet black blanket. So there's that aspect he discusses. He also discusses the dark mother, the feminine, and he discusses the darkness in Buddhism, including the final death and the study of death. And so it's a good read if you're interested in dipping into the dark. And so let's go there together now, into this dark inside, the unknown, and knowing it may help to know the light is ever present as well, and that light of our being is ever present. As we go into the darkness. And as I start my timer, make sure that your seat, if you've been lying down, come now to sit upright or to sit in a chair, or you may choose to sit up against your wall and ensure your seat is comfortable. And I'll talk you gently through just the basics of sitting, which is all that's really needed. These themes that I've presented beforehand are helpful, maybe pointers or signs or things to watch for. So I will address one more thing as things that feel dark or unwanted come up. I will address that during our sit today as well. And so helpful. Oh, I've been wanting to start with the bell. Let's start with the bell. And a bow. And so I use this shorthand mantra of ground, sound, and breath as the portal of stillness, a still gate that takes me closer to presence. In ground, we can sense how our body is right here. Can't be anywhere else. Right here, right now. Just how the surface of my body touches the surface of solidness underneath the earth. And as I find my rootedness, my centeredness, it's helpful to sense along the central channel, which is right in front of the spine, a downward verticality up, and it goes upward as well. But I first look to the downward sense, feel that gravitational pull. And we can hone our senses to be more aware, our nervous system to be more aware of gravity coming through our entire being. Become aware to the rootedness that's already available, that stability. What we see the infant, human, and animals, I suppose, experiment with and feel as they push and roll against the ground in their first months. And gratefully, the ground responds and presses back up to support us. And from there, and we might sense the opposite of gravity, the levity, the buoyancy, the uprightness. And so already with this first step of ground, we are really sensing into subtler aspects, right? Subtler unknowns prior to this moment. The darkness. And we'll go to the next second of the three words of this mantra, but it's third in how I say it, but it doesn't matter the order. Breath, breath. So moment to moment, as we sense ground, as we sense breath, both of those have some constancy in our human experience, our living experience, but also change in their qualities moment to moment. All that is observed by something prior, by something that does not change. and sound. The moment you heard the word sound, an invitation to your attention. What did you experience? What are you experiencing? So, in this stillness, silence, and space of just sitting, perhaps we will see the contrast of the things we're sensing, like sound, or all sound is code word for all that we're sensing. Right here, all the direct experience, contrast of the three realms, this direct present moment experience. And then we also see a little different working of our nervous system of labeling, storytelling, controlling, secondary experiences to the direct experience. This self-making. All that is fine. Let it be. Sometimes it engages us strongly and we feel like we've been away for a while. When you come back, just rejoice in having recognized, come awake to the moment again. And thirdly, there is this presence, this light of awareness. See for yourself, notice that it is unchanging. And stay with yourself, with your attentive presence as we bring our palms together in front of the heart. And we're still quite aware of this different state of mind that we come to in meditation, a very different wavelength of being. Something that may bridge you more toward that unchanging identity. Bowing together. So thank you so much for joining me today in this exploration and this vital practice to transforming, to moving away from our sufferings by not avoiding them, but by moving through them, by touching toward that darkness. So I'll be back here next week, next Sunday the 10th. And in the meantime, do check out all else that Sun and Moon Yoga Studio has to offer at sunandmoonstudio.com. Our winter classes are up and running as well. Thanks again for being here. Thanks for your practice adding toward the more peaceful and harmonious world.